Well, hello and welcome back to another edition of the Vassals of Kingsgrave Soccercast. Euro 2020/21 is heating up, and today we'll be covering the knockouts, the round of 16, and the recently finished quarterfinals. Joining me in the commentary box today is our Grand-Maester Bing.
Oh, hey. Hi, this is Bing. I was once Shoeshiner. I've renounced that name, I guess. Like all good maesters do. Well, I don't know how I got that qualification.
I mean, you are the encyclopedia of this podcast for sure. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one today. It's gonna be good. It's definitely stepped up a gear. The intensity, just the sheer volume of goals, talking points, upsets. You know, a lot of big teams have been dumped out. And best of all, England winning. Of course, we'll focus on some more of these games than others. But going in game order, as it's stated on my very cool wall chart, let's begin with game one: Wales versus Denmark, where Denmark absolutely flattened the Welsh, 4-0.
Yeah. So we have our resident Dane, Patrick Datal, who hopefully may join us a bit later to give his perspective from Denmark.
Surprise, elation.
Yeah.
I mean, what has happened to this Danish team? They feel like since the Ericsson incident, they've just been galvanized and.
Well, they've always been good. They've always been good. And I mean, if you look at you look at their recent results, they're very, very good. The only team they've been losing consistently to is Belgium, who and they once again lost to them in the group stages. But I mean, even like Christian Eriksen thing, you're removing their best player from the from that team. But I think what happened is that the coach Kasper Hjulmand had just sort of adjusted. Like the player who replaced Eriksson in the lineup, Christian Damsgaard, who's he's just turned 21 years old, incredibly talented, but he doesn't replace the same role that Eriksson plays. Instead, they sort of just ask everybody else to sort of contribute a little bit more. So what you see is people like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. You're probably very familiar with Højbjerg.
I am indeed.
Normally for them at Tottenham, he doesn't play a very creative role, right?
No, he sort of had a bit of more of a deeper role at Southampton as well.
Yeah.
Bit more license to roam, but yeah.
Yeah, but at Denmark, he has been excellent as a creative player. So and then you and then you have guys like Delaney, Yusuf Poulsen, but definitely since the knockout rounds, Kasper Dolberg, who have stepped up really big for the team. Also their fullbacks. Now, their left back, Joachim Mæhle, is probably one of the players of the tournament.
He's fabulous. He is going to be high on a few big team shopping lists, I'm sure.
He just transferred to Atalanta last season. Maybe he can. Maybe some teams will even, because he may move even further up. Who knows? But and also their defense has also been excellent ever since that Belgium game. They've only gotten better and better. I think Wales wasn't going to compete against Denmark unless they played their best, and they tried to play their best. I think in the first 20 minutes when I think Bale had one sort of a chance. But ultimately, Denmark sort of just kept creating more and more chances. The Welsh didn't do themselves any favor. That second goal, sure, it was originated in the foul, and the referee kind of did Wales very harshly in that game. But then it was really like a terrible defensive mistake from Nico Williams that then just sort of gave a goal to Denmark. And yeah, go ahead.
The damage was already done by the time they got a man sent off. I mean, it was a sloppy challenge, but by that point it was 3-0.
Yeah.
Marla had just scored his goal. But it's a shame for the Welsh. It's a shame. Obviously, they've got memories of, was it the semis?
Yeah, they reached the semifinals. 2016.
Which was obviously fantastic. But I think, as you alluded to on a previous podcast, they still have a lot of those players in the team. So there's a definite need to freshen things up, and I just don't think they have the quality coming through in the next generation.
I think it's worrying that the players who probably play the poorest for Wales in this tournament are Nico Williams, Ivan Ampadu, and Harry Wilson. I think 3 players that they're very much counting on to be the next generation of players. I mean, they're still very young, so you can say this was it was a very negative experience, but it's still experience nonetheless. Maybe they go on to do better things later, but don't quite see a successor in like Bale or even or Ramsey or even a Joe Allen in any of them.
No, not of that same quality at all. But I mean, to be fair, they made it out the group.
Yeah.
Obviously Denmark aren't I can get away with saying this while Patrick's not here. They're not the flashiest of teams, but
pretty flashy.
They're decent. They're decent. They've got actually a very good young team. I was just having a quick browse of some of the age profiles.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of like early mid-20s, which bodes well for their World Cup chances. But yeah, I don't think there's too much more to say on that game.
I think Wales
obviously,
basically reached as far as they can get in this tournament.
yeah, definitely. They've got some pride still intact, so not too bad for the Boyos. But moving on to game 2, we've got Italy and Austria, where Italy beat Austria 2-1. Keep marching on. Conceded, yes, but they conceded a goal for the first time in 300 years or something.
Yeah, that was a warning, right? Like they've been magnificent up to that point, but they haven't played any team that was that great. Although, as we'll see, Switzerland turns out they're probably a lot better than we thought they were. So Italy definitely, like Austria definitely put up a real resistance against them. That said, they bend but it didn't break. Like Austria got close, and I think when Mancini switched in Chiesa, switching Chiesa, that's the thing with Italy, like compared to Austria. Austria doesn't have the quality of players from their bench to sub in.
They don't have it near the strength and depth that Italy have. I'm very impressed with the Italian midfield, actually, the ability to rotate and still remain effective. If you're thinking about, obviously, Chiesa coming off the bench, Locatelli, he's looking great. I mean, Barella, Verratti, obviously we know about. Jorginho, well, he'll anchor that midfield, but whoever's around him can kind of mix and match. And Mancini's done well. He's done very well. This was probably the toughest test they've had up to that point. And they came through it. I must admit, I didn't watch the game. I didn't stick around for the full 120 minutes.
Yeah, so the first half, Italy was better dominant, but Austria definitely made a pushback. Like, Arnautovic should have scored in the second half, but missed a chance. But then things in the extra time, I think Austria just could not run with Italy, especially someone like Chiesa coming off the bench. It was just too much. They got to go back. Credit to them, but that was definitely Italy's harshest challenge. And I mean, they came through it, and they didn't look completely like 100% foolproof as they did in the group stages. But as we see, that I don't think any of these teams did.
No. Well, I must admit that something that makes Arnautovic very unhappy makes me happy. So quite pleased with that result. He's not my favourite player, I must admit. The little Ibrahimovic or bargain bucket Ibrahimovic, whichever way you want to look at it. Yeah, it's a shame, but they've shown that some good players. Sabitz has really put himself in the shop window.
Yep.
Yeah, so the first big upset happened in game 3. Well, big upset for me anyway. I think you might have seen this coming.
Oh yeah, I definitely saw this coming.
But the Netherlands getting dumped out by Czech Republic, so that finished 2-0.
What have I been saying about Wreck the Board this whole time?
I mean, yeah, you did predict it in your crystal ball with your the glass candles are lit thing.
To be fair, like in the group, like after the group stages, I thought that at the very least they can beat the Czech Republic. I thought in terms of their player profile, they have an advantage over the Czechs. The problem is you still have to show up, and Netherlands did not show up at all. Do
you remember the red card incident? with
Oh yeah,
Delict?
no. Oh yeah, no. I mean, it's 100% a red card.
Mm.
Yeah, Delict stop Patrick Shea from going through on goal with a handball. There's very little you can contest about that, and it was really dumb, clumsy, and intentional handball. There's nothing. But like Netherlands wasn't creating anything before that. Oh, well, okay, no, they created one thing. Daniel Malen went through on goal 1-on-1, and he did nothing with it with that chance. The Netherlands did not have a shot on goal the entire game.
I'm looking at the stats now. Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing on target. Jesus,
yeah, no, it was pathetic. And that's
woeful.
the problem. So like up to that point, the Netherlands sort of coasted by their group stages on sheer talent alone, and they do have the talent. But the problem is when you're sort of just winning games in spite of your tactics and your coach, rather than because of them. This is the problem. That you even if you're a very talented team, there'll be the games in which you need someone like the coach to sort of give you structure, give you order, especially when you come up against a team like the Czechs, who are hard to beat. They're not the most talented, they're not the most dangerous going forward, but they're solid, and
Yeah,
you need to have a good tactical approach to break a team like that down. And when you're coming in there with no shape, no tactical, then it's all just 1-on-1. Then the Czechs come in with a good game plan and say, okay, well, who are your key players? Oh, I see. Wijnaldum has been really, really important for you, scoring a bunch of goals for you in the group stages. We'll neutralize Wijnaldum. Memphis Depay.
yeah.
Your attack is built around Memphis. Apparently, built around Memphis Depay. Okay, we'll mark Depay out of existence. And then you got
Mm.
nothing.
They have the players to do that. Callas is decent.
Yeah.
Kufal is a solid right back.
Mhm.
And Susek, I think he plays a bit more defensively for the Czechs than he does West Ham, but still a very effective player.
Yeah.
And Schick is lethal.
Yeah, I mean, he isn't for his club. It's the frustrating thing for me. Um, in this tournament, definitely. And like you need to respect teams like this, right? You can't like on talent alone. Like you look at the names on the paper, the Netherlands should beat the Czech Republic. But like again, you have
Yeah,
to show up. You have to respect that opponent. And the Netherlands and Frank de Boer evidently just didn't. And you get a red card, and then like and even then when you get a red card, that's really really tough. But like good teams can even survive that and beat like weaker teams even with a man down. The Netherlands just gave up after that.
I
They
mean,
lost
look at
all.
they had the players on the pitch to do so as well. They had a back four, or they were playing with a back three. Swap it, put Depay as kind of the lone striker, and yeah, it just fell apart for them.
And all you
Fell
have,
apart.
and all you have to say about Frank de Boer, just look at the substitution right after the red card, which I think was Daniel Malen for the most obviously worst player on that team, Quincy Promes, who was exiled to
Very
back.
negative.
Well, who was exiled back to Russia because he stabbed someone or something like that.
Jesus.
And the Promise doesn't give you a country. Well, you say it's negative. Well, he doesn't contribute to you anything defensively, and he also isn't creating any because he has been playing poorly. So why are you bringing this guy up? It made no sense. Which ultimately is sort of the pronouncement of Frank de Boer's reign as the very short reign as a Dutch coach. That none of it made sense. You get found out. Like it doesn't matter if you're the Netherlands. You don't have a divine right to win games just because you're the Netherlands. And I think
No, not at all. Not at all.
and as a team, like again, ignoring the names, I've said going into this, the Netherlands are not that much better than the Czechs. This
No.
is not an upset in my eyes. This is an expected result. I honestly thought the Czechs definitely was a 50-50. And when the Netherlands approach it like this, then yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of our Dutch friends journey,
Sorry.
unfortunately. But on
Get a
to
better
game
question.
4. We got Belgium, Portugal.
Yeah.
Belgium, the Ronaldo show is over.
Yeah. Very
Uh,
boring game.
yeah, not too much to say actually for such a high-profile fixture.
Yeah, I think they kind of neutralize each other.
I mean, the only thing to really say is it seems like Thorgan Hazard is the main man for Belgium now.
I mean, he plays sort of this weird the wing back role, which I mean, he's not a defensive player at all, at all.
No, no, no.
But he is really good going forward. And you have to respect that.
Mm.
I think
Plays well with his brother.
yeah, I think the main problem for Belgium is that during that game, De Bruyne and Hazard were injured again. I think Portugal, they haven't they won the last Euro playing really negative football because the talent just wasn't there for them to do anything else. Now they do have a lot of talent up front, but I think the coach just haven't figured out how to tactically.
Yeah,
Um,
you'd think Jota and Ronaldo would work well in a two together, and that could be something. But as you said, I think again on a previous podcast, they kind of get in each other's way a bit. Jota's not really a wide player. I mean, when he plays for Liverpool, he can play in that front three because it's quite a fluid, Salah, Mane, Firmino, whichever ones he's playing with, sort of drift in and out. Firmino's actually fantastic link-up play, but Ronaldo, he's just there for the goals.
it's not very mobile, right?
No.
I think Joao Felix, was apparently injured this whole tournament, which then made me question why did you bring him along anyways? He had players on the bench who have had great seasons, like Andre Silva, who is the top scorer in the Bundesliga, 30 goals or something like that. But I don't think he just knows how to utilize all these cool tools that suddenly he has. Because he has gotten by so far using very negative tactics. Like the guy like Fernando Santos, he started out with the tactics of two incredibly limited defensive midfielders, and that approach got ripped apart by Germany. So then he had to adjust a little bit. Ultimately, I don't think he made enough adjustments. Yeah. So, anyways, bye bye.
Yeah, bye Ronaldo. Although it's a bit bonkers that he's still the top scorer. Obviously, we haven't covered the quarterfinals, which we'll get to, but
he is still the top scorer right now.
Yeah, he's joint with Schick on 5, and then the next few are all out. So kind of looking like it's mad, but he might finish as top scorer.
3 penalties.
Yeah, of course the penalties, but as our Swiss friends will remind us that
you see the score penalties. Yeah.
So yeah, leaving that game in the dust where it belongs, we can move on to Croatia, Spain. Now this was my favourite game of the tournament. Well, most exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Most goals, of course, but
most weird shit happening in a game.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think of that first quote unquote goal. Except I think the last time I saw something like that was when it was Paul Robinson. Remember him? When Gary Neville, back passed and then I think a blade of glass tripped over a blade of grass, and then Paul Robinson did what Unai Simon did in that game.
I mean, that was just bonkers, and
also against Croatia.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Yeah, 2007. 2007.
Wow, it's funny when things align like that in football. But it's also so harsh that the own goal is given to Pedri because he passed to him. I mean, obviously, of course, but it's not Pedri's fault. But that will be forever on him.
Whatever. It's not his. It's obviously not his fault.
No. But of course, when I think if Spain, potentially win this thing, we'll get to that later, but it will all be forgiven. I think if they lost this game, that might have been the end of Simon's international career.
To be fair to him, he came back. I don't think he was great in the rest of that game, but he came back. He made a few saves in the extra time. So
he did, and
he was pretty good in the next game.
Yeah, the next game obviously we'll come to. He was pretty damn good. But yeah, crazy to think that. I mean, I dipped in and out of this game, but then once sort of caught the crazy final 10 minutes of that second half, and then the extra time. Spain leading 3-1 up with 9 minutes to go, I believe.
Yeah.
Just insane. Croatia pulling it back like that. Modric is still such a player.
I think Croatia's subs did really well. They are the ones who, like Orsic, Tottenham fans may also remember him. I think he was the guy who scored a hat trick against Tottenham in the Euro Cup for Dynamo Zagreb. He was good. As was Pasalic. I mean, Croatia had a lot going against them in that game. They didn't have Perisic due to COVID. And I
Yeah,
think
that was a big blow.
and they were also missing Lovren in middle of the defense. And I think
Definitely.
they I don't know what kind of magic they conjured to score 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. I think credit to Spain. Their defense very very suspect. I think I think the problem with Spain is that they'll just sort of turn off for like 10 to 20 minutes in a game, in which defensively they suddenly just stop able to defend anything, which is incredibly worrying going forward. But
Yeah.
they keep coming back. And in extra time, I think Croatia just ran out of ideas. And I mean, Croatia like actually started really extra time really really well, but it couldn't find a goal. And then Alvaro Morata. I think a lot of credit has to be given to him.
It was a very well taken goal. To control it and smash it in as he did was great. Was it his first goal of the tournament?
Second.
Second. Well, I mean, he'd had a bit of a stinker up until this point.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the criticisms on him, I mean, he hasn't played well, but I think that the harassment of him and his family was
Way over the top.
yeah, that is not that is just wrong. And it's not like the guy is like playing lazy. He works hard. He does like a lot of things well. Link up play, hold up, passing, a lot of these other stuff. He's still doing well. And he I mean, I think that was sort of that was sort of typical of Alvaro Morata of his entire career. That he misses really really easy chances, but then he just scores much harder ones.
Yeah, a touch of the Timo Werner's about him. But yeah, fantastic. I mean, Spain, it's kind of inconceivable to think after the first group game where they just bored us well, certainly bored me away from wanting to watch any more of their games, and now they're the team that's scored the most, I believe.
Probably, yeah.
I think got it up here. Yep, they've got 12 goals. Italy and Denmark with 11 behind them. And then there's no surprise that they have also got the highest possession and the highest passing accuracy. 67% possession on average is just, oh god. I mean, that's one way to win extra time. You just get Croatia to chase you. They just won't have the legs for that. But yeah, marching on into probably the biggest upset of the tournament. France versus Switzerland, game 6.
Right.
So that was 3-3 after extra time, and Switzerland took it on penalties. I mean, let's start. Switzerland had a bright start, got an early goal. I think it was a header from Seferovic.
Yep.
And went in up at the break and deserved it, I'd say. But Benzema just absolutely making his presence in this tournament felt.
And point to note, before the 2 Benzema goals, Switzerland had a penalty and they missed it.
Oh, of course they did. Of course, Rodriguez missed the penalty.
Yeah.
Poor penalty, to be fair.
Yeah.
Perfect height for the keeper. You see penalties where you can pick the right corner, but with power and accuracy, you can still get it in. But it was poor. A bit shocking actually, because Rodriguez is typically renowned for being quite a good from the spot kick. But a bit ironic because then eventually, obviously, they went to win on penalties and didn't miss a single one. Did he come off the pitch? I don't remember him taking a penalty actually.
He was subbed off.
Yeah, he did. So blessing in disguise. Similar to the Spain-Croatia game in the way that, obviously Benzema, I mean, we need to take a minute. I don't know if it was his first or his second. Was it his second goal?
Good second, the one you're thinking of that.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Reminded me of a bit Bergkamp-esque, that goal. The control, bamboozling the defender, and the finish at the end of it was just sublime. Might be goal of the tournament for me, I think.
I actually kind of like the third goal even a little bit more.
Screamer. Yeah. That was a very good goal, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like we've seen a lot of like if you've think back to can't remember the player's name, but the Czech goal against Scotland from where he scored it from the parking lot. It's just insane. So, but that control, I haven't seen a goal like that in the tournament so far. It was, he's still got it. It's why he's been the main man at Real Madrid for so long, and it's why he's been brought back into this team when everyone, spoilt for choice, the French, for attacking options. But and then was it I think it was the equalising goal from Gavranovic with the brilliant assist from Xhaka. Just drilled it into him from 30-yard pass or something, 25 yards.
Yeah. After taking the ball from Paul Pogba.
Yeah. Yeah, completely bypassed the monster that is Kante, and good finish in the end. So I don't know if there was too much to say about the extra time there, but correct me if I'm wrong. But it was the penalties, high quality, and Mbappe, just kind of epitomised this tournament really. Won France the World Cup and lost them the Euros.
Well, it's okay. So it's not. I mean, Mbappe hasn't had a great tournament. It's unfair to blame this on Mbappe. France was leading 3-1. You don't need Mbappe to score more goals for you. If you can't put away Switzerland when you're 3-1 up with 10-15 minutes left in the game, how is that Mbappe's fault?
Sure.
And I think so. A lot of the fallout of this game is that the French press is now being sort of tearing through like garbage cans, looking for any sign of sort of team disharmony, trying to find an excuse about how the French lost. Whereas the very obvious answer is that the French did not respect the Swiss. They were complacent. They were complacent going into this game when Didier Deschamps decided, because both his left backs were injured, he decided to suddenly switch to 3-4-3, which the French have never played ever. And they sort of just thought, I guess we have the players who can do this. The Swiss, they're not in our time zone in terms of talent, which they weren't. But once again, it goes back to, you have to respect teams like Switzerland. They're like, man by man, you're a better team than they are, the French, but they're still a good team. You have to respect your opponents, and the French did not. And then and then what you see actually, and I don't know why people are not pointing fingers in the other end, which is really where the French lost that game, with three at the back. None of those defenders knew what they're supposed to do. Kimpembe was repeatedly getting beat one-on-one. Varane was losing all the headers to Haris Seferovic. If you want to win a tournament, you cannot let Haris Seferovic score twice against you. You just can't. Like he's fine. He's a 20. He is mediocre.
He's not exactly had a distinguished career, shall we say?
And he scored the exact same goal twice.
Yeah, that's the killer. They did not learn, and
they had Rabiot masquerading as a left wing back, which he's not. I mean, again, like if this is like Luxembourg, I guess that won't hurt. But again, Switzerland are a good enough team to be able to exploit that problem. And again, and they just have their regular right back, Benjamin Pavard, playing wing back, wing back, which is a very different role than the defensive right back he has been playing up to that point throughout his entire French career. Which meant that he was constantly out of position, which is where all the crosses from the Swiss left wing back, Steven Zuber, keep the ball to Haris Seferovic. And then they had to drop Rabiot from center midfield to left wing back, which meant that they were light in the center of the midfield, which is why suddenly you see Granit Xhaka having the best game of his career.
Exactly. Was Hernandez injured?
Yeah, Hernandez was injured. So was Lucas Digne.
Right. Well, I know Digne's had his problems with injuries, but it just seemed a bit bonkers setting up like that.
Yeah, no, it was completely tactically wrong.
I think that'll be that for old Deschamps.
He is continuing. He said he is continuing.
Well, he might say that, but I think the French
he won
FA might have something to say about that.
Well, I don't know. He won in the World Cup. The next World Cup is sort of just around the corner. And I think they're probably going to stick with. I think, in fact, it has been reported they're sticking with him.
I would have absolutely loved to give Arsene Wenger a run, a pop at the World Cup.
If anything, I think it would be Zinedine Zidane to replace the
Good point, actually. Very good point. Is he still?
Yeah,
He's not got a manager yet.
Nope.
I mean, not got a manager, not got a club.
Nope.
Well, I'm sure, like every other manager in Europe, he's been offered the Tottenham job. All right, so now on to the biggest. Well, I keep saying this about every game, but this was the biggest upset. England beating Germany in a knockout game was just beautiful. 2-0. It was not the prettiest of games, I must admit. Took us a while to get going, and there were some definite scares. That first half was not as fluid or dominant as you'd want, but you know, Germany are a really, really good team. And yeah, going into this, I was a bit baffled. Both teams setting up with three at the back. I think I even put it on the group chat. I was quite confused. I thought this was a game that we should go at them. And yeah, three at the back was just didn't make sense to me. But I mean, as with every tactical decision, barring a few bonkers substitutions, every pre-game tactical decision that Southgate's had to make in this tournament, it worked and it came off. And I mean, for me, Declan Rice is phenomenal player. He's really won me over this tournament. The awareness, the covering of the fullbacks, because Luke Shaw's practically a left winger, you know, where Sterling tucks inside or he'll just float around. You know, Phillips not quite as incredible as maybe his opening game against Croatia kind of led us all to believe. Trippier was good, solid on the right. I think he should definitely be starting the next games, but you know, Southgate likes to chop and change. Maguire came back in, did well. I think bar one error, I think he gave the ball away and there was a chance for Werner, but we all know he can't hit a barn door with a shotgun. So, you know, Kane got on the score sheet. Raheem got a lovely goal. It was the dream. It was brilliant. Really, really fantastic. I think 60 million or, well, however many million English people were watching, all shat themselves when Müller was through on goal. And I couldn't believe that he missed that. That's Thomas Müller. He's been doing that for Bayern Munich for 15 years. He's been doing that for Germany for just as long. You know, he's won World Cups scoring goals like that. And
Yep. Well,
yeah, it was beautiful to see.
right. I think I predicted 2-1 for England. Nothing, you know, pretty close, right?
Certainly didn't predict England to keep a clean sheet.
Well, they haven't conceded up to that point.
I know. Well, I mean, we'll get to last night's game shortly, but we'll bask in the glory of this one for a little bit longer. The first half was tough. I thought Bukayo Saka was bright
For like 20
in a
minutes.
very I'm not. He didn't do himself a disservice, but I think with young player, I mean, he's obviously, his rise has been very, very fast. Gone from academy player to starting for Arsenal to starting for England in possibly the biggest game they've had in years, and I think he did well. But I mean, the big change was Grealish, right?
Yep. No, Grealish came on the field.
Phenomenal player.
He created both goals. The entire shape of that game changed. I think Saka, he's fine. He causes problems, but he sort of runs in blind channels.
He needs support, and more often than not on that right-hand side, Trippier, I mean, Walker is playing in a back three, so you don't expect him to push on. Calvin Phillips and Trippier weren't exactly providing him support, and Kane is, you know, until he got his goal, he was still in, you know, what they call. I imagine it's like when Fry wakes up in Futurama 1,000 years in the future, and Kane's like, oh, all right, can play football. But he needed that, and we needed that, and you know, as I do like Raheem Sterling, MBE. He's a great lad, but we needed someone else to score a goal.
We need someone to create to create chances, and also just add an element that the Germans didn't have. And I think that's sort of where it comes down to. Sort of my going into this game, what I thought was England. They have a coach who has a plan. It may not be a plan that a lot of English fans like, because it leans very much more heavily toward the defensive side, despite the fact that England seems to have all these cool cool toys up front. But he's very consistent. And changing to 3-4-3 wasn't as sort of a big of a change as it was for French, because England has played this formation before, notably in the World Cup. And it is a formation that works against Germany. In fact, it's basically the exact same formation as as Germany, with the exception that Germany, like whatever you want to say about Harry Kane up to the point in which he scored the second goal, Germany just didn't have a center forward this entire tournament. Before they finally decided to try out Werner, they had Serge Gnabry,
right? False 9.
Yeah, masquerading. Well, it's not even really a false 9. He's not playing the role that false 9 should in sort of pulling back and creating spaces for the real finishers. Gnabry was just sort of there, and like he has a really poor tournament, but I think part of that comes down to he didn't know what his position was, didn't know what he was supposed to be doing. And that's the problem with Germany going into it. That's another team that sort of, again, you look at the team on paper and say, well, that's a really really talented team. They have great players all over this list, but Jurgi Low couldn't put his team together. His tactics were insane.
He's lost the plot. And they definitely. I mean, this is the end for him. It was announced before the tournament, which I always think is a bit suspect. I mean, you know, you can kind of look at it from two angles. The kind of, you know, he won the World Cup with them, right?
2014.
Yeah, and you know, you can kind of, there's sort of you know, let's do it for the manager, let's give him one last hurrah. I mean, it doesn't work. I don't think.
I think half the team, he has pissed off the elder statesmen of that team, Muller and Humos, by nearly forcing them into international retirement. I don't think he never won the trust of the younger players, especially someone like, say, Leroy Sané, who he infamously left off of the World Cup team. And I think so. Yeah, I think he had lost that locker room long before this tournament. And it's a stupid decision to even let him hang around this long in the first place. I think, again, this is a team that, again, just on the quality of, like, sheer talent and quality of their players, they could have they could have beat England, but tactically
They could have.
Yeah, but technically they weren't there, and yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, they have the quality, no doubt whatsoever. But I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, they need a fresh approach. He's been in the job too long. He's lost the dressing room, the sort of famous anticlimax. But I mean, it was a bit bizarre, because after the Kane goal, you think, right, we've got 5 minutes left. Let's go for it. And the first substitution he makes is to bring Emre Can on, who's not exactly renowned for his goal scoring ability. You know, he makes a further 2 substitutions. Does bring on Sané in the end, but
that's emblematic. So here's my explanation of why he brought out Emre Can. Emre Can is a more offensive in terms of when you compare him to, say, Matthias Ginter, which is a player he brought off. But that's the problem. He can't switch his formation. He can't comprehend what it means to switch his formation. He's stuck with that formation because he can't figure out, okay, so if I switch out, let's say put on a more offensive player, more attacking player. Let's say Leroy Sané, right at that moment. Well, okay, so that means I have to switch this piece around, and then he's just, no, I'm sticking with my same formation. I'm gonna live and die by this formation I just literally came up with right before the tournament.
Yeah, well, I'll leave it. We'll move on, because we've got got a lot of goals to still get through, games even, sorry. But I'll leave you with England defeated Germany in a competitive game at Wembley for the first time since the 1966 World Cup final, which is just an incredible stat. Couldn't quite believe it at the time. I still can't. But they really have been a bogey team for us, so it's nice to get that proverbial monkey off our back. Also, I didn't realise that England were unbeaten in 15 games at Wembley, which is
Relevant.
very relevant considering the semi and the final will be held at Wembley. So long may that continue. But anyway, finishing up, we'll leave the glory behind, and we'll whisper that something might be coming home. But the final game of the knockouts was Sweden-Ukraine. Another one that went to extra time, another red card. It's a pretty filthy challenge, if I recall.
Yeah.
From Danielson.
Terrible challenge.
Really, really bad.
Fully deserved the straight red.
Yeah, which was a shame because Forsberg has been playing some great football in this tournament. So to let Sweden down, I thought was a bit harsh, but that Isak as well, showing himself to be a decent player. A lot of attention from him, on him, I should say. But yeah, I haven't got too much to say about this game.
Sweden should have won this game. Forsberg hit the post twice. But ultimately, that's the problem with a team like Sweden, in which it's like what happens when you when they go one goal down. Okay, they pulled back eventually for Forsberg, but it's hard for a team like Sweden to sort of have to take the initiative to try to win a game. They're set up to defend and counter attack, but then they meet a team like Ukraine that is actually worse than them. And they're now putting Sweden in position that they don't want to be, which is forcing them to try to go at it. And eventually, Sweden aren't good enough of a team that they can just overcome a team like Ukraine when they're sort of playing their butts off and forcing the issue. And basically, when it went to extra time, the red card just
yeah, I mean, you got to love a late goal, winning it in the last minute of the game.
Yeah, dagger.
Yeah, daggers, but also fantastic for the Ukraine fans, and also got a special mention here for Shevchenko, former Chelsea player, but former great player. He was really, really fantastic, and seems like he's got some chops. He's got some talent, because Ukraine were not a team that I was expecting to make it this far. And
they kind of snuck out of the group stages.
Yeah, they did.
As a third place team that lost 2 games. The only team up to that point they beat was North Macedonia.
True, but
to be fair to him, he I don't know about he's great as a tactical manager, but he's a good man manager. Those players obviously really liked playing for him. And they worked hard for him. I think the one good thing they did in that game was to put Zinchenko out to the left, but I think he's actually now much more comfortable in. He scored their only goal. I don't know why then he made the change back in the next game to put him right back into the center. Well, that's another matter.
Yeah, well, they've got some decent players. Zinchenko finds it hard to get a game for City, but I mean that's Manchester City, one of the best teams in the world. Yarmolenko, decent player. Yarmolenko, and I think you're right. I think I'd be surprised if he could replicate that at a club level. Maybe for a Ukrainian team, but I think the respect that they have for him is evident in their performance and their work rate, and they will. What's the old saying? They'll run through brick walls for him.
It's a limited team that sort of exceeded what they're capable of, really.
Yeah, definitely. But unfortunately, that came to an end in the next round, which we will get to. But so moving on into the quarterfinals. Quarterfinal 1 was Switzerland versus Spain, and if the Swiss were tired, well, they had another 120 minutes plus penalties to contend with.
I think Patrick.
Spain. Oh, Do
Hello.
we have?
The tall.
We have. Good
Do.
evening, Mr. The Tall.
Good evening, Noah. Good evening,
How
Bill.
goes
Dean.
it?
Hello.
Oh, it's fine. We've gone on to no, so it's good. Everything's good in the soccer world, at least. And we
we
just need to.
oh,
We
go
have a
on.
big task. We have a big task ahead of us, staying soon.
An
Makes me.
impossible task, some may say.
Well, depends really. We've won an Euro Championship early, like in
92.
earlier modern times, and you haven't. So.
We have won one international tournament,
In
and
66.
oh yeah, everyone knows. We can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
We've so just in terms of where we are in the games, we've literally just wrapped up the round of 16.
All right.
So you missed getting to, unless you want to add anything about the Danes' triumph over the small British nation.
Of Wales. Of Wales.
Nothing else that I was sad to see them go. It's a good team, and they have sort of the same mentality towards football that Denmark has. So we were sad to have to knock them out. But yeah, other than that, I think they played well there.
Yeah, pretty
Nothing
good.
else. Yeah.
Pretty good. Well, we're just about to kick off the quarterfinal discussion. Did you
Really?
catch the Switzerland-Spain game?
Yes, that one I did catch. I didn't
Yeah,
take
the
notes.
Swiss having to. Oh, it's all
Yeah.
good. I mean, the Swiss having to go the distance for a second time in what, 3 or 4 days? Just too much for their kind of limited squad. Not
Yeah.
a lot of depth in that team. And having to, I think they played about 40, 50 minutes with 10 men, and the way that Spain just ping it around. I mean, it tires me out just watching them.
Yeah, Spain's inconsistent, but they play good ball when they play good ball. Basically, they can let in goals and be mess up a lot, but when they play, and that's difficult for a team that's they've done well, they've done really well, but nobody really expects them to go that far, and so I think they might be happy with just where they went, how far they went. I'm assuming at least.
Yeah, for sure. I think regaining a little bit of confidence and faith. They had a pretty lackluster World Cup, if I recall correctly.
They were all right. They got to the run of 16, typically where they exit.
Yeah, I guess certainly I always expect them to do well after their sort of period of dominance, back-to-back Euros and a World Cup, right?
You mean? Oh yeah, Spain. Oh yeah. I mean, the problem is, so Spain. This is a very different Spanish team right now, right?
Yeah.
They've woken up from that. Yeah, I mean, that's how you want it. You want to play your best football at the end of the tournament, right? You don't want to, sort of crap out in the knockouts.
No, I think you're right. I think you want to peak at the end, around the end of the tournament. If you can play poorly, sort of to begin with, and still go through, and then slightly climb all the way through until the end, where you just peak, that would be a perfect way of playing a tournament, I think.
So,
and you go on, Bing. So you mentioned earlier about Simon and the penalties.
Yeah. No, I think Unai Simon redeemed himself in this game, and that's the thing. Like, if you're a manager, I think what Luis Enrique, both his as a manager, his best and his possibly his worst trait is loyal to a fault. Like when the media was hounding Morata, Luis Enrique just came out and said, "No, Morata's my guy. I'm sticking with him up top. I think he is a great striker." Unai Simon made that terrible mistake. Like in any other, like if you remember, like England when Robert Green, when he made that similarly embarrassing mistake against the United States of America in the World Cup. Like,
Oh my God.
Green was gone the next game, and that was the end of his international career, right?
I mean, that was the end of his footballing career.
But Luis Enrique just threw Unai Simon back out in the next game, and Simon, to his credit, did well. So, I mean, the Spanish, there are definitely problems. Again, they just sort of turn off. They once again showed they defensively just turn off for like 10 or 20 minutes when they let Shaqiri in to score a goal. But also worryingly, their lack of cutting edge sort of re-emerged in this game, and they couldn't finish. And this time, it's actually not so much Morata as Gerard Moreno who kept missing chances. I feel like they're very inconsistent.
Absolutely. To go from scoring 5 goals to relying on an own goal to get you to penalties is worrying, I would say.
And
They
they
do
have,
need to.
and now they have the same problem as what the Swiss did going into this game, and that they've now played even more. They have now played 2 games, 2 full 120 minutes games, in a back-to-back in a row.
Yeah, I think you're right. So the next game we'll talk about is Belgium Italy, and I think they'll struggle against Italy because of that. I think it's going to be tough. You know, they're fairly fresh, the Italians, and they're very, very confident.
Yeah.
Very, very confident. But yeah, let's get into that game actually. Belgium Italy, the second quarter final. Quite enjoyed this game actually.
Very good game.
Yeah, it was a decent game. The penalty was stupid, but the Italian goals, especially Insigne's goal was lovely.
Yeah.
I do love it when a little man dances in a penalty area and sticks it away. And it was like he smacked that in with like barely any backlift. Just brilliant goal. But yeah, I don't think, again, you can call this an upset, really. Belgium were the favourites, the best team, arguably on paper.
I guess it's really though.
I guess if you looked at the tournament before the tournament, you would probably guess that Belgium would have gone through to at least the semifinals, right?
Sure,
But
yeah.
but as we saw, they played well against Denmark. They won over Denmark, but then they still, like, there were a slight chance of Denmark actually, getting a few more goals in on them and stuff like that. And Denmark and Belgium are not in the same league, should not be in the same league, sort of.
I would say Denmark had more than just a small chance. Denmark should have won a game.
Yeah, but in any case, that still shows that if you compare them to Spain, Italy, and in some cases like Germany and in England as well, Belgium should just have performed better, and they probably wouldn't have gone through if they played the same way they did in the beginning matches.
But the problem is
Sure.
that they're injured. All their best players are injured. Well, okay, they have 2 problems. First of all, De Bruyne was not fit. He had, in fact, it's confirmed that he played with a torn ankle ligament, which shows in that game he was visibly not like running for half that game. And the other problem, which is the problem I said at the beginning of the beginning before the tournament started, is that they have huge holes in that team. Their defense is ancient. Thomas Vermaelen is still starting for this team. What? How?
35 years old.
In Japan. He's playing in Japan.
Hey, that's a good league for
It's a good league.
35-year-old.
It's fine for 35-year-old former star, I guess. But like,
yeah.
Like and like their fullbacks once, and also like they just were not at their full strength. And like, sure, Belgium, if fully healthy, all their stars in their like playing at their prime, is probably maybe one of the best teams in this tournament. Not sort of a like 50% De Bruyne, no Eden Hazard, which I mean actually I think Jeremy Doku played much better than Eden Hazard could have. I think Doku was sort of Belgium's main threat in that entire game.
He's very bright. I'd never heard of him, to be honest, before that game, and he was brilliant.
He was one of the best young players in France last year.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, yeah, no, there's just too many holes in this Belgian team. Like Belgium has, and that's always sort of their problem. Like they're not deep enough. They have
Go on, sorry.
Their best players are some of the best players in the world, like Lukaku, De Bruyne, Courtois. But the drop off from that, it's too big.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they went into this one with 3 at the back. Again, Thorgan Hazard playing that weird hybrid wing-back role. I guess it's to give those Mounier and him the license to bomb forwards. But Italy were ready for it, and they deserved to win this game. They played some good football.
100%.
we kind of, you talk about the aging Belgian defense, but I mean, Chiellini's like as old as all of them combined, right?
No, I think
He's
he's the same age as for Milan.
yeah, he's got a couple years on him, but do you know what I mean? As in
Hmm.
the profile isn't much different. He's just such a professional. I mean, maybe slight club bias that I don't like Alderweireld or Vertonghen. But Chiellini's such a professional, and right there at the last 10 minutes, I remember there was a corner he was defending, and he's just smiling, and he just loves the challenge, and he looks quite frail, but he's a monster. I got a lot of time for him, actually.
Very
Good player.
experienced. World Cup winner, I think, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
He was somehow was there for the 2006 World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, he's been at Juventus for about 45 years. 404 appearances.
Yeah,
That's
For
crazy.
Juventus. Yeah, a lot of time for Chiellini.
He wasn't.
I'm liking this Italian team. I'm quite glad that they've been on the other side of the draw, to be honest with you.
I mean, look, it's a team that again, it's a team that knows who they are. Plays a very and again, they have depth. I don't think again they're players. So I think one worry going forward. Spinnazola's out. He tore his Achilles.
Yes.
That's a terrible injury. Because
it's a terrible blow to my fantasy team.
And Spinnazola has been one of the best players in the entire tournament up to this point. They'll have to replace him with Emerson. Not quite the same level. But like midfield, they're playing very fluid football. A little bit worried about Immobile. His finishing has been kind of terrible the past couple of games. But Insigne is in form. Yeah, no,
they can rely on him.
Yeah, and also Donnarumma. When Belgium made the push, like Donnarumma answered with a bunch of really good saves. Now they are they're definitely the favorites to go through to the final against Spain.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
which one.
go on. Sorry.
If you just sort of, I think Italy is the one I'm looking. Denmark would be looking least forward to play against if they somehow got past England. I don't think they would want to play Italy. I think Spain, because they're inconsistent, Denmark could capitalize on that, but not. I don't think Italy would give them the same leeway.
No, not at all. I completely agree with you. Just a slight little asterisk. Chiellini was part of the Italian youth team. He wasn't part of the 2006 World Cup squad.
He wasn't. He was already getting capped, but he wasn't part of the 2006 squad. Yeah.
So he's old, but not that old.
He's 30. He's 36.
Yeah. Well, we may as well move on to the third quarter-final game. The reason why you've joined us today, Patrick, I'm guessing. Czech Republic losing to the mighty Denmark.
Oh, mighty. I might not agree completely with that. Not in this game. I mean, they played. If I was to say something, I think they got some good goals in to begin with, some lucky goals, I would say, and then they closed down the match basically after that, which is never fun football. I would agree on that. I think if anyone not rooting for Denmark or Czech Republic were watching this match, they would probably find it boring. But yeah,
nothing wrong with that. A win's a win.
A win's a win, and it is the quarterfinals, so I would say it's a bit more important than just the knockoff round as well. So it was a good goal, especially the one where Mele kicked it in front. That was that pass. That was one of the best passes I've seen in a long while. Not in any of the leagues, football leagues. Outside of that, that's one of the best goals I've seen, or at least passes at least.
That was probably assist of the tournament for me. I was saying probably my favourite goal being the Benzema one against Switzerland, but the assist from is it Marla?
It's pronounced Mele.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. He's a top player. He will get snapped up by one of the big teams.
Exactly. I think he's actually playing for a semi, but I think he's going to go to Southampton maybe.
Was Atalanta. He's playing for Atalanta.
Atlanta. Okay, yeah. Okay, but in any case, yeah, he's been pretty consistent, and and the way he's the only one who finishes his beep test. They have these beep tests when they have to. Yeah, he finished them.
He's
So
ridiculous. The pace on that man
he
is
had
insane.
yeah he can run up and down the field all day long. That's really interesting. That's really awesome in a football player that just puts in so much work. That's so yeah, for me he's probably the best player on the team right now. But we do have other people there that also did their part. Two of the three Ds on the team did their part, right? So I can't.
Are you singling out Vestergaard?
Dolberg, one of them, Dolberg.
Dolberg,
And
striker.
yeah, he's a good striker. And what was the other one? We have three. There's
Brave.
Damsgaard and Dolberg, and the
Damsgaard,
last one I can't remember.
Martin Braithwaite.
Delaney.
Delaney. Yeah.
The goal scorer is
Yeah, we have Delaney and Dolberg this one
scoring this game.
time.
Yeah.
Couple of Bergs, a few sends.
Yeah.
It's a solid team. It's a solid team, to be fair.
It's a team. It's not single players that are like not like Ronaldinho or whatever. These are
but you kind of want that. You don't really want an ego. It worked for Portugal for a little while, but it was as we discussed earlier, it was probably a bit of their undoing. Is the Ronaldo show doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, exactly, because you could tell that all the players have been told just play it to Ronaldo, just pass it to Ronaldo, really, and that's I wouldn't want to be a play on that sort of team, honestly. Yeah.
Well, and the Danes go marching on.
Yeah. I will say that I feel like both teams didn't play as well as they could because I think there was 90% humidity in Baku for that game, which that speaks to UEFA's.
Let's just take a moment to express our disdain. Not anything personal against the city of Baku, but certainly that stadium can absolutely be swallowed up by a sinkhole, and no one should ever play football there ever again.
It looks like it's about to get swallowed by a sinkhole. I think there were sinkholes over that pitch. Yeah, I don't know how to quantify like the quality of either team.
No,
because it was just a terrible condition to play football in.
Exactly. I don't think the Danish team left 2 days before from Denmark to Baku, and I don't think you get ready for that sort of heat in that amount of time, no matter how it is.
Basically sweating going onto the pitch during the national anthem.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, definitely. I'm assuming the Czech Republic had sort of the same problem. Maybe they're a bit more used to very hot temperatures, but not like that, I'm guessing.
No, neither side play well. But that's from the UEFA's problem. They sure love their Eastern European dictators.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to go into too much about that, right? But yeah, it is striking how there's not really that much thought about what happens in the country that you want to pull off a tournament or a match in at least. That's how much I would say about that on the podcast. But yeah, it is sort of interesting that they don't take a stance on that.
Yeah, well, I mean that's UEFA. They're bent as a bent thing. they're so corrupt.
They're bent as a loop.
Yeah, thank you. We'll get that edited in there. Well, I mean, is there anything we haven't spoken about? Oh yeah, maybe there's one more quarterfinal.
I don't think there was anything interesting though.
No, maybe
okay.
Just
sure. Yeah, maybe
one little thing. Maybe the reason why I woke up with slightly fuzzy head this morning. Maybe having had a few shandies too many last night.
Well, let's say it was a good performance from England. Start by that. It was a good performance.
Yeah, against the team that we were expected to beat. But I think I don't know who your the sort of club team you follow, but I'm just inherently, Arsenal has taught me to be nervous about any sort of knockout game. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
I've watched a number of embarrassments over for the entire time I've been supporting them, and this just, I remember England losing to Iceland. I remember the group stage where we couldn't score a goal against Algeria and America, and it was just ridiculous. So
You did score against the United States.
oh, we scored. Sorry, we drew with you 1-1. That was right.
Yes.
That was right. But anyway, didn't need to worry. 4 minutes in, and Harry Kane's on the score sheet again. I mean, I think it would have been a nervy game had it kind of gone the same way as Germany. But I mean, fair play to Gareth Southgate. Got his tactics spot on again. I wasn't quite sure about including. I mean, obviously Sancho's got talent, no doubt, but has he even come off the bench the entire tournament?
Once for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he played the whole game, the full 90. Grealish didn't get on the pitch. He didn't start, which is bizarre. Saka was left out of the squad completely.
He's injured.
Mason Mount's back in. Oh, he is injured. Sorry, I keep forgetting that. But Mason Mount back in after his brush with COVID. And yeah, back to a back four, which we just look so much better, in my opinion, with a back four from an attacking perspective. I mean, what more can you say? 2 new goal scorers in Maguire and Henderson. To be honest, both were badly defended, 3 headers, but decent deliveries. We made Ukraine look at kind of what we thought they'd be going into this tournament.
I would say that
very enjoyable.
Yeah, I would say that England held on to the ball quite well, and that's probably what did it, right? You could sort of decide when you wanted something to happen with the ball, and then pull back afterwards. The Ukrainians couldn't really do anything about it.
The press was impressive.
Sorry?
The press was impressive, to your point. Hanging on to the ball, retaining that, and also putting the pressure on them so they can't do anything. I mean, the possession wasn't as one-sided as the scoreline is, but I think you're right. I think
for most part of the game you did hold on to the ball quite well. For me it sort of looked, and I don't want to discredit Ukraine's performance because they've done well in this tournament. You can't say anything about that, but it sort of looked like training football where you're just passing the ball around, trying to teach new guys how to play ball, really doing chains around. I mean, it was quite quickly sort of clear what sort of match it was going to be, and that's I'm sort of sad on Ukraine's part, because I mean I'm always for the underdog, in that sense.
Sure. Well, I mean, it was only 1-0 at half time, and I remember being, agreeing that we were dominant, we had chances, but just needing that second goal, just to be comfortable. I think
you always want that.
Sure, of course, but that's what you got to aim for, and I just felt we were comfortable to kind of take our foot off the gas a little bit. But again, I mean, I don't know how much of that was down to Southgate, if it was, if he just wanted, seems like he lit a fire under their arses and they came out flying in the second half, scoring twice in 5 minutes after the whistle went. So look, it's a great result, and it's a flattering scoreline, and as you say, it was a simple task for England in the end, which was brilliant, and sets up a juicy semi-final with the Danes. I don't actually remember us ever playing Denmark.
We did a test match. We've just done a test match where you lost 1-0, 0-1 to us.
Yeah,
we've won just one of our last 6 competitive meetings against Denmark. That victory coming in 2002.
Yeah, the World Cup.
So but that's not the same. We don't. It's not an indicator. Right now, you've sort of England has become better through the tournament, and Denmark.
No,
Where
no,
right
no.
now
We're the underdogs. We're the underdogs.
we can't judge from right now how it's gonna go. But it's I don't know. It's no secret whom I'm rooting for. But I have my wife is half English, so she's gonna be torn for sure.
You're gonna have to You're gonna have to watch in separate rooms.
Yeah. So I think this is England's toughest team to play against this entire tournament. I include Germany in that.
We've had
Germany.
some tough games. We've had some tough games. You know, Croatia
Yeah,
and Czech Republic are no
Yeah, no.
pushovers.
I think Denmark's better team than all of them. I mean, they beat the Czech Republic. I think Denmark. I don't know, Patrick, if you would agree with this, but I think Denmark. If this was against Germany, I think Denmark would be very happy to play Germany.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've been sort of losing our favorite opponents a few times now. But yeah, we would love another chance to give Germany a whooping, and that didn't happen. Thank you very much, England.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No, this Danish, like again, when people sort of just hear the name Denmark, they don't immediately conjure this image of that they're the same level as Italy or England or whatever. But if you look at their players, are they that much far away from an England or Italy in terms of their quality?
Yeah, they don't play fancy ball like a lot of other players that the high profile players do. A lot
They
of
all
them,
play at high levels.
yeah, but they don't the fancy ball, where you can see
Well,
they just lose all the players and all
well, Christian Eriksen,
Ronaldos, Ronaldinho's, yeah, exactly. Christian Eriksen, yeah, but he's out.
he's out. He's definitely,
Sadly.
yeah. Well, I mean, Damsgaard, Damsinho.
Yeah,
He can.
and Yusuf Poulsen is also a good runner.
Yeah, very
He
hard
would,
worker.
yeah.
Defends very, very hardworking defender and attacker.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting how Denmark decides to line up, whether they go with Dolberg or Yusuf Poulsen. To be, I suspect it's probably going to be Poulsen.
I don't agree. I think Yusuf Poulsen is going to be a
Off the
change
bench.
in.
Interesting.
Yeah,
We'll
because
see. Regardless.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, just because he tends to be full of energy, but he can't run the way he does the whole match. And you sort of need the running energy for the later part of the match, so that because usually the match opens up after second half. If enough goals go in, so that I think Yusuf Poulsen would be very handy there.
But yeah, I think again, so unlike the teams that England has played up to this point, Denmark has no obvious holes. Up from the top to the bottom, their lineup is completely solid. I think the only sort of question mark Denmark had coming in was in the striker position, and that finishing wasn't. They didn't have sort of someone that was seen to be able to finish chances. But that problem seems to have solved itself when Dolberg is not suddenly scoring goals for fun. And Poulsen also has 2 this tournament too, so it seems they seem to have that covered. Central midfield, Højbjerg's probably going to be in the team of the tournament. Delaney has also played incredibly well. We talked about Mæhle. I think the only possible hole is in the right back. Striker Larsen either Striker Larsen or Daniel Vaz is going to start. I don't think either of them could kind of be a problem. But central defense, Denmark's excellent in that position. Christensen just won a Champions League, and he has been excellent up to this point. Simon Kjær, incredible leader, incredible defender. Vestergaard's a little bit shaky moments against the Czechs, but he's still good. And Kasper Schmeichel, he's won the Premier League.
Yeah, he plays a little different than his dad does. We don't. Yeah. But he's a good goalie. It is. Yeah. And the differences are also pronounced in the way that Simon Kjær, that's the lead, the team team leader, because he's still you sort of have to put some of that the way that Peter Schmeichel used to just completely dominate how the defense would work. Simon Kjær has taken that role on him specifically, and now Kasper can just focus on being a good goalie, being in the goal, and taking most of the shots against him. He's a solid. He's been trained under his dad, and you can tell he also played attacker on a few like to begin with, just like his dad did. So he sort of emulates his dad, but has different qualities. He's an interesting profile.
On England's side, well, so England really needs to. So that means basically England, they're not going to just be able to exploit certain holes like in an opponent like they've been able to do so far. They just the best players just simply has to play better than the Danish best players. That means Harry Kane needs to show up.
I think he will though. I think he's finally he's woken up from the cryo freeze.
I think
I
think Luke Shaw needs to exploit the Danish right wing position.
Yeah, and you also you could there is a possibility in corner shots because the Danes haven't done very well on that account, especially not in defense. So I think there could be a possibility if England shows up there as well that they could win over Denmark.
Yeah, I think I mean I think it was 3 headers in the game last night. Kane,
Exactly.
Henderson,
That's
and Maguire. So there is that to exploit. And we've got great set piece deliveries. You know, Trippier is good. Mount's pretty decent. You know, there's a few who can step in there. It's going to be a good game. I don't know. I don't think there'll be nearly as many goals as some of the other games. I've got a feeling Southgate will go a bit more defensive. I think he might try and overload the midfield as opposed to going for a 3 at the back. Sorry. I've got a feeling he might just try and squeeze Henderson in there and give Phillips a bit more license to roam, maybe. I don't know. What I do like about this England team is that unpredictability, but Southgate's earned my trust now that we can go into this game with complete faith that he will pick the best 11 for this opponent. And I think you're right, Bing, that you know this probably is the toughest test we've faced in the tournament so far, and they're really, you know, this is a good, you know, this is a proper a football team. This isn't, this isn't Germany, exactly. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I mean, I do expect England to win, but anything can happen, you know, and if the Danes did triumph, it probably wouldn't be unjustified because they've got a very good squad and they can play some good football, as we saw. I'm looking forward to it.
I kind of wonder if this is Croatia 2018 for England once again.
I know. This
is sort of the exact same profile, right?
Yeah, but it's a different team. He's a better manager than he was then. There's something that every England team, certainly in as far as I can remember, has been lacking is the kind of the team spirit. The cohesion, the togetherness. I'm you know, this is the case across all international teams that you're bringing together sometimes 15, 20 players from different clubs. You know, they're all playing at rival, you know, and in England more so because a lot of players don't go abroad. That rivalry sometimes is hard to forget, you know. Even last night when Harry Kane is putting 2 in and I'm there like, It takes me a second to remember he's wearing an England shirt, not a Tottenham shirt.
Yeah, but, I know. I know. No, I'm usually Team Abel as well. Joke.
But it's that cohesion is, you know. It's lovely. It's lovely to see, and the togetherness, and somehow he's done it. I don't know. Maybe they've all gone like on a paintballing weekend, or they've all gone and had a sleepover and told each other their deepest, darkest secrets. Whatever the hell Southgate has done has been brilliant. And that's why I'm more confident than the Croatia game. Oh God, you reminded me of that game. Thanks, Bing.
All right.
You bastard.
Well, you busted. Yeah. So, how do you want the match to how do you think the match will go? Is it like 2 goals to begin with, 1 goal, equals it out a little, and then that's the match at the end, or is it gonna be 2-2 or 1-1, 1-0, and then a penalty shot at the end?
Nah, I think 1-0 England.
1-0.
Yeah, I'm going 1-0
I don't
England.
believe I don't believe it's going to be that few goals. I think it's going to be more goals than that.
All right. What's your prediction then?
I think it's going to be a 2-1 probably, but I'm hoping for a 2-2, and then we go to shoot-offs with penalties.
What, Denmark 2-1?
No. I think it might be England that wins this, and honestly, I'm fine with that.
You don't sound fine.
No. I mean, the dream is to emulate the 91, right? Or 92? 92, yeah. 92.
92, yeah.
92. Yeah. Where we beat Germany handedly. Or not. But just in the shoot-offs in the end, and that I think that would be nice. I think we need that story again retold, so a new generation could be inspired. But no, I mean, I think England 2 and Denmark 1, but I hope for a 2-2, and then we go off to penalty shots. And
I think regardless, the age profile of your team means that you've got a bright future. You've got a solid chance to impress at the World Cup next year. The Euros after that. Most of the average age of your team's like 25-ish, 26. There's a few tournaments left in these players.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you got a shot. Yeah. So, in the semis of the Euros is nothing to, I don't think England have gone beyond the semis in a Euros before. So, it's a big deal.
We can still take third if we lose to you. So
get a little bronze. Well, we've definitely done England Denmark to death. A quick note on Spain Italy. I can't see any. No one cares.
Okay, I'll care a little bit. As neither of you two do. I mean, Spain, they have a path to victory if they can just take possession away from Italy, which they're able to do. They're fully capable of doing. They have been doing that up to that point. It's an interesting clash of styles. Whereas Italy, which again, interesting comparing to their history as a national team, is that they're playing much more fluid, direct attacking football. Spain, again, possession first. It'll be interesting to see if Italy can exploit Spain's sort of few minutes of defensive madness to just win the game that way, or if Spain can actually, and unfortunately, again, Spinnazola's out. There is room now for them to maneuver in those spaces, because Emerson's just not the same player.
There's a chance. There is a chance there.
Spain needs to win that midfield battle. If Italy wins the midfield battle, Spain has no shot. Pedri has
I can't look beyond Italy taking this though.
No, I have a sneaking suspicion that Spain might take it, but they just do it barely, and then Denmark plays against Italy, and that we won't do that. We wouldn't like that at all. So I think the nightmare scenario is going to be that we lose to you, and then we go on and lose to Italy and for the bronze.
I think there's a third place game.
Yeah,
there is no third place game. So
for us there are, or what, isn't there?
No, there isn't in the Euros.
Oh,
isn't there? Okay. Oh. Being the expert here, I thought. Okay, so in the World Cup there is for sure.
In the World Cup there is, yeah.
Okay, this is why you're Grand-Maester Bing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
I'm just looking at the fixture. I'm just looking at the fixture list.
Okay. Well, that's also a thing that a Maester would do. So
I guess.
Yeah. Don't look. I'm not peeking behind the curtain.
All right. Okay. So no match. If we're out, we're out. Okay. Well, then fuck England. We were gonna win this then.
It's 92 all over again.
Yeah. No way out. Only all the way up to the top. No, yeah. Still, I think Spain's gonna win. Sadly. And it's gonna be like just like there's gonna be a few goals and then Spain's gonna have one more.
Now,
Yeah.
if Spain can bore the Italians into submission, and maybe while Donnarumma's having a nap, they can nick one. I can't see it happening any other way. The Italians are too strong, even without Spinnazola. You know, who'd have thought that Denmark would get this far without Eriksen? And here you are playing brilliant football. So yes, it's a blow, but Italian team looks too competent to miss him that much. But we'll see. It'll be exciting. I think that's the first semi-final, right, on Tuesday, and then the big ones on Wednesday.
Yeah, the important one.
Oh yeah. When we get that little bit closer to it coming home.
Maybe.
Maybe home is Copenhagen. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I mean,
yeah,
we've never won it before, so it's never been here. It's never been home for it.
You can say so much. It's sort of like it can be coming home the same way a lot of wealth came home from Lindensgaard, right? So in the way we will come over and relieve you of your euros.
We've repelled Viking invasions before, and we'll do it again. God damn it!
Not very well without the help of the French, though.
Yeah, we were a bit shit, and then some Normans came over and took us over, and that's history. But well, I think we should leave it there, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I think we've done it justice. Shame Bina couldn't join us, but I'm sure she'll be here for the. We'll try and do a final one, pre-final. And yeah, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for listening, guys. I've been the host, Pops, and we've been with Grand-Maester Bing and the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick the Tall. So catch us on the next one, and come on, England.
We'll see.